Hey everybody, I wanted to talk quickly about Google Docs and go over some main features with you. To make a Google Doc, you need to be in Google Drive, which is where I'm at. You can make a Google document inside any of your folders. You can also drag and drop into folders, but for efficiency's sake, you can make it inside the folder where you would like it to go. So when I open my folder, I have the option of right-clicking on the screen and a menu will pop up. Here's Google Docs. Or on the left-hand side of the screen up at the top, I can click New, and you'll see it's the same exact menu. And I would click Google Docs, and that will make my document. I shouldn't have opened that. We are just going to use this sample today. I've already named it. Up here in the left-hand corner is where you would change the name. It will come open with Untitled Document, and you can change it to whatever you want. In this case, I renamed it Sample. Down here where the cursor is where you start typing. Up at the top, you've got some basic standard menu things, some editing for your text, and some features that we'll talk about, and some basic things that are just the same as if you used a Microsoft Word or anything like that. You also have a menu with some different options as well. One thing I did want to talk about was these modes. You have editing, suggesting, and viewing mode. In viewing mode, you can only read a document. You cannot edit a document or add comments to a document. So when your students turn in a document using Google Classroom and they click Turn In, that is the mode that they are seeing. That's why they can't edit them or change them after the due date. If a student accidentally turns in their document early, they can unsubmit from their Google Classroom and regain access. It'll go back to editing mode. But that's on the student end. Also, you can set viewing mode if you were sharing, maybe if I was sharing this with a whole group of people and I didn't want them to change, I only wanted them to see, I'd put it for them in viewing mode only, so they couldn't do anything to it. Editing mode is a standard mode where you're typing out and writing everything, kind of misleading because the suggesting mode is what I use for editing. Let's say I don't think that this should be capitalized or this H here should be capitalized. When I make the changes, you can see that some strange text pops up. It definitely gives you the new letter in a different color and crosses out the old letter. And then you end up with these comments on the side. The comments are just stock to show what I said to replace or change. If you have it set in suggesting mode for peer editing, or if you are editing a paper for a student, this gives them some ownership still of making those changes. They must accept the changes or reject the changes in order for them to take effect. If I were to print this right now, the changes would not be applied. So this is a great way to prevent students from maybe putting incorrect information during peer edit. The writer can go back and see that that was not a correct change. This also gives students a chance to learn from their mistakes and see what mistakes were made and how to fix them. So I really like that feature. If a student accepts it, you can see I'm going to accept the T, so watch the T. It just changes right to the lowercase t that I suggested it would. Over here, I'm going to reject the H, so watch the H, and it goes back to normal. So that's as easy as it gets, really. And then, of course, for normal writing, you just click back to editing mode. If I wanted to share this document, I have a couple of different ways to share. First of all, I have a shareable link. Let's imagine I'm sharing this to all 150 students. It's not feasible for me to type in 150 addresses or try to copy them and paste them in. I can just send them the link and they can open the document. There are other options, so we can look at those other options. Obviously, public on the web, and it's searchable. Anyone who has the link, anyone, anywhere with any Gmail account or any account can open that. The difference on these two down below is that you have to have the in this case, @blairoaks.org account, but your @schooladress.org account has to be used on it. And then you can turn it to off and only share with specific people only, and there's no link and no way to do that. You also have access rights, so they can view, they can comment, or they can edit. If they can edit, they can change everything. They have full ownership just like you do. They can delete, they can add. If you can comment, they can read your text and they can add comments, which is a feature I'll be showing. but you cannot actually edit the text. And then, of course, you have Can View, which we talked about, no editing, only looking at it. You can't leave comments, can't do anything to it. You're just looking at a static screen. You also have the option of typing in addresses, and the addresses show up, and you can add them, and you can also add a note, and it'll notify people. So those are the ways that you can share. Getting the shareable link, if you click that button, we'll just copy this to your clipboard so you can go wherever you need to go and directly paste. So aside from sharing, if I'm going to collaborate, I would want to know how to make comments. So here's a way to make a comment. Over here next to the insert link for making a hyperlink, I have a comment button, or you can see once I have this highlighted, the comment button pops up over here on the right-hand side as well. Once I type in the comment and click comment, then it's viewable to the student as well, or my partners as well, and I can leave comments there. You can also see over here on the text side, the text is highlighted in kind of a buff color, and you can imagine if the document is quite full of suggestions and comments, it's going to have a lot of those. It's going to have a lot of these on the side. So when you click this, go ahead and watch the text by here. When you click on it, you see how it gets a darker yellow color. That is showing you what exactly this comment is referring to. You have options here also. Resolve just clears it up, makes it go away. Or you have the options to edit, delete, or link to this comment. I don't really know. I can't brainstorm any ways you would link to the comment. Just thinking here. But if I needed to edit it, maybe perhaps I wanted to go ahead and call attention to somebody specific. So I am working on this with 3 different people, and I want them, one specifically needs to change this item. I would enter in a plus sign, and then if you have contacts, your contacts will go ahead and start popping up. So I'm going to go ahead and send this to this account, and I can add multiple accounts, so I can just hit the plus again, and another person will pop up, and I can send it to another person. If I click save, it will notify them that they have a correction to look at. I also, in this case, would need to make sure that they had permissions for this. Right now I don't have anyone on there, but this wouldn't pop up otherwise. But that will get their attention and let them know and notify them that you have a comment on this document. And so that specifically gets their attention. So one person out of my group of 5 will see that I mean for them to open this. So that's sharing that way. Another neat thing you can do on here is see the history. So I've been messing around in this for a while. I'm going to resolve that, just get rid of it. I've been messing around in here for a while. So I have some history, and you can see the different times I went in and edited. If I click on any of those former things, you can see what has changed over the past few hours as I messed with it. Anything that I have, let's say I want to go back to the way it originally was. All I have to do is click restore this version. So if somebody deletes something and then closes out, the back button is not going to work anymore. So you might think, oh, the document is lost, but it's not lost. You can just go back in the history and find it that way. So you can restore to a previous version that had that thing in there. Because right now I can click undo and nothing's going to happen. But if I go back to the changes that I made, here I want this now, I can restore this version and my text all reappears. So that's also handy if you are having kids go home and work on things. You can see what they worked on when. It helps catch copy and pasters because obviously they didn't type 3 pages in 1 minute, that kind of thing as well. And it can let you see who worked on what, who did what. You can see, you saw that it was just me because I'm the only one working on it. But if there were others, they would have their own blocks of what they exactly worked on. And you would see in their color that's assigned to them. So they might have a pink box next to them. All that pink would be related back to that person. So I think those are all the tips and tricks, at least for now. I hope this is something that was helpful to you on how to get started with Google Docs and a few quick ideas of some efficiency. Hope you learned something cool today. Thanks for watching.